first of all, even if you imagine this sort of Bitcoin maximalist world where Bitcoin takes us, well, you still have to get there, right? 99% of the world's value is in existing financial systems. And so you need to build bridges, even if you're a Bitcoin maximalist who think people are going to use Bitcoin for everything. Because if you're not, you obviously need bridges. Otherwise, what good is a new technology if it isn't connected to where the people are, where the money is, right? You
take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
If you got a bag, welcome to the party. Welcome back to some more Moon O'Clock news. No breakfast, no coffee, just straight extra bullishness. Go ahead, throw on those shades, buckle up, and let's go full speed, full throttle into the cryptoverse. Total cryptocurrency market cap down 1.4%, hovering around 1.79 trillion. BTC 38K, ETH 2500, XRP in the number 6 spot, 75 cents, still under $1. XRP up 3.8% in the past 7 days, but down 4.4% in the past 24 hours. The Asia Pacific region is leading the global charge in innovation and adoption of instant payment technologies, including the rise of XRP and crypto solutions. All roads lead to the Bridge asset. Learn more about the payment landscape and the APAC barriers to success and what's to come. You know what's coming. Sonar Muse, less than 5 days left until we close our music submission for our initial website launch. If you're an artist, you still have time to send us your music in order to receive the opportunity to gain early access to our website and be part of the Sonar Muse playlist, the NFT music store and streaming service for musicians and music lovers, XRP Ledger. James K. Philon, XRP community, SEC has filed a motion for extension of time until March 18th, 2022, 4 days, to respond to Ripple's motion to strike the supplemental expert report. Ripple will then file its reply to the SEC by March 24th, 2022. Get those bags ready. James also says it doesn't make strategic sense for Ripple to object to a 2-day extension because Ripple won the motion to strike the FND. The SEC already has 30 days to respond to the 776 request for admissions. 2 extra days for this is unimportant. The SEC's motion for extension of time has been granted. The day the SEC Gov vs. Ripple was filed, claiming present-day XRP constitute as unregistered securities, and every day thereafter, I've argued tribalism is the greatest threat to crypto. Many Ripple and XRP haters either celebrated or ignored it, living in their tribal bubble. Jake says, make no mistake, if they manage to ban POW, they'll come for POS next, and every other Sybil resistance mechanism after that. This isn't just about environmental impact, it's about the right of non-state money to exist. Their strategy is to divide and conquer. Let's not fall for it. Some wallet says the XRPLF announced the token assessment framework to achieve better transparency for investors and improve self-regulation on the XRP ledger. Then a third-party auditor can verify and validate. Based on this, the foundation will publish an advisory list for inclusion of tokens. XRPL Ledger Foundation, we're happy to announce 2 things today: new website, and more importantly, the token self-assessment framework foundation, XRPL.org. All token issuers on the XRP ledger are encouraged to complete this, a framework to help provide better transparency for investors in the XRP ledger ecosystem with increasing amount of issued tokens. So the first phase includes a self-assessment questionnaire for token issuers, guiding the issuer through a list of questions to both provide transparency for investors and help improve self-regulation and trust. All self-assessments are made publicly available in a common format for which individual investors can do their own research and make personal quality assessments. And as each response is signed by the issuer, investors can verify that the self-assessment is actually submitted by the issuers. Future phases of the framework will include an option for token issuers to complete a validation and verification process with a third-party auditor, based on which the foundation will advise on listing by exchanges, wallets, and other virtual asset service providers. Introducing the token assessment framework. We got a new video over on Ripple. David Schwartz talks on the XRPL community and sustainability at the MIT FinTech conference. David Schwartz speaking on why we need the Bridge asset and all roads lead to the Bridge.
So it's a pleasure to do this. So given we're at the FinTech conference here, I'd kind of like to start at the beginning, David, if I may. I'm interested broadly in the role of fintech in breaking down sort of old profit centers and disrupting finance a little bit. And so I'm curious about the origins of Ripple, sort of the founding story and the early days of Ripple and how it was set up sort of originally largely as a payments mechanism internationally. And so can you go back and tell us about the beginning of Ripple and how it got started and rose originally?
Sure. So in the very beginning, like the history of Ripple, Bitcoin had kind of just come out. And people were looking at Bitcoin as a way of sort of, as a disruptive technology and essentially Bitcoin, the asset sort of taking over the world. And this was a point where there was a lot of naive optimism, particularly around the technology and around how quickly it might be adopted and the effects that it might have. And I think one of the things that, like, for example, at the time, people would say things like, oh, proof of work was like this liberating factor and anybody who had extra power could just like do some mining and they could make money that way. And so that would be sort of distributing and decentralizing force. I think we now know that that's incredibly economically naive. Someone's going to be the best at. Like, it's obvious why that doesn't work. Whoever's the best at it is going to do more. It's going to drive everybody out. And the first cracks in that sort of veneer were starting to show. And I think the other problem was like the very first Bitcoin maximalists was starting their early view that like, well, people should just use Bitcoin for everything. And it's kind of like saying that you have a religion of peace if everybody believed it. Like every religion's a religion of peace if everybody believes that religion, right? There's no religion that believes that you should kill people who like, there's no religion that's like adverse to itself, right? And so what we started thinking was, first of all, even if you imagine this sort of Bitcoin maximalist world where Bitcoin takes over, well, you still have to get there, right? 99% of the world's value is in existing financial systems. And so you need to build bridges, even if you're a Bitcoin maximalist who think people can use Bitcoin for everything. Because if you're not, you obviously need bridges. Otherwise, what good is a new technology if it isn't connected to where the people are, where the money is, right? You rob banks. It was a famous bank robber who asked why you rob banks. That's where the money is, right? You got to go to where the money is. If you try to sit somewhere and wait for the money to come to you, that won't work. But our first strategy was the same bottom-up strategy that everybody else was using because we kind of didn't realize in the early days that we actually needed a strategy. In the beginning, we were kind of driven by what we had with a hand that we were dealt. So we started working on eliminating proof of work and coming up with something that was sort of more decentralized, faster, and something that would have bridges built in, something that could connect to existing systems. And I think we were very inspired by this sort of liberating feel of the internet. Prior to the internet, there were huge information gatekeepers. Like if you couldn't get something printed in a newspaper or on TV, you basically couldn't get it out to people. And cable access existed, but it was like minor. There was no way to have information influence if you weren't like part of the sort of old guard or could influence the old guard. And the internet changed that. It's kind of sad that recently it started backsliding, right? New information gatekeepers have emerged. And I think people are upset about that precisely because they had that. That's really a return to the way it always was, right? But like once people have a taste of something that's sort of fairer and more equal access and open, that's what they want. And so that was our earliest strategy was build a decentralized censorship-resistant payment system focused on payments that would support multiple assets. Because even if you thought the world would eventually converge on a single global asset, they certainly need ways to get there, and they certainly aren't there now. And what's kind of interesting looking at where Ripple was and where it's almost come a little bit full circle. So we then focused almost exclusively on payments. We basically split into an enterprise payments portion and a sort of non-enterprise sort of open source, bottom-up, decentralized payments section. That's still, still Ripple has these two business units, RippleX and RippleNet. And we've kind of a little bit come full circle because I think in the past year and a half or so, we've really started more embracing what's going on in the cryptocurrency communities in ways we haven't, particularly because of issues like climate concerns and so on that have sort of forced us to say that we don't really feel like we can sort of sit back and not participate in that ecosystem. And I think also we've been a sort of part, we've also like this, what we've done ourselves, and there's also like being a part of a community that's trying to accomplish a large number of different things. Like there are a number of other companies and foundations that are building on top of the XRP ledger. And but I still think, in my heart of hearts, I still think it all comes back to payments. I can talk more about that later, but I still think that like payments are an unsolved problem. They're a huge unsolved problem, and I think we still need to get that right. They still suck. They still suck.
XRP, the bridge asset, coming for all the money. All roads lead to the bridge asset. XRP lawsuit court states its terms to side with Ripple on fair notice if XRP was not sold as an investment. If Ripple didn't have a relationship with the vast majority of XRP holders, then the court might side with Ripple on the fair notice defense. The race for the pole positioning is heating up in the global CBDC development. They will run on that Ripple net. CBDCs coming to a ledger near you. CoinDesk just in, the EU rejected a measure that could have forced proof-of-work cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to shift to more environmentally friendly consensus mechanisms like XRP. The proposal limiting of proof-of-work is rejected in the EU Parliament. Baba says the MICA bill needed 51% to ban proof-of-work. In this new bill, it only needs 10%. Does nobody get this yet? Seems like the crypto community didn't read what happened this morning. This was a victory. Chess pieces are in order. Bank XRP, Biden's executive order to fuel a bank Bitcoin boom. Americans want crypto from their banks. Payment infrastructure news. Many corporates have not registered the importance of the move to ISO 200-2022. According to Vanessa Manning, quotes Manning as follows: "The beauty of such a language is that it applies to all types of flows, whether cash, trade, FX, or security." Eleanor Terrett, I always make a point of reaching out to both the SEC Gov and Ripple for comment when any news breaks in the case. In response to my email from Friday, I received a "we decline to comment" from the SEC on the decision to deny their motion to strike Ripple's fair notice defense. The show is coming to an end. Digital asset investor, based on Gary Gensler's own words, the SEC could right now go after ETH's founders for Ethereum 1.0, 2.0, their staking product interest, as well as their borrowing product, which they have bragged about. Where's the lawsuit at? Hester Pierce, SEC, Heron Lee. Make sure to check out GDLT over on Twitter, and make sure to look out for the Ledger City Radio Twitter Spaces. Also, possibly Ledger City themselves joining in on the next one. Crypto, comedy, and art. I know y'all wanted to watch this meme live.
Mr. Chairman, which cryptocurrencies are securities?
No! Yeah! No, bro! Fuck! Give me high five! Yeah! Fuck! Yes!
Yes.
Bitcoin was a demo, you ain't get the memo. Net memos, SEC said though, we blasting off the ghetto. Big bags on me, middle finger to the devils. Rocket fly itself, no keys, no pedals. To the top, I need a medal. Stay holy in my temple, ripple net my bezel. Never sold, I never settled. Knew what I hold was special. I knew the fundamentals, flipped the switch, oh, it was accidental. Big bags, yeah, I got several. Got rockets for rentals, moonship my vessels. You could not.